For the first time in my life today, I wanted to watch the president's inauguration. I'm not sure I've ever watched one before. If I have, I don't remember. So as I was watching and just thinking about everything that has led up to the election and today, I got emotional. Did I get emotional because I bow down and I think Donald Trump is God? Absolutely not. I know we have people like that in our midst, but that's not why by any means. Why was I emotional? Because for the last 4 years, I've been wondering if I still live in a country where my vote matters. For the last 4 years, I've been living in a country where I wonder, do we have any say in anything that happens anymore? Free speech seems to have gone out the window in a lot of ways. What do we even do? How do we speak out? We're losing our religious freedoms. Are they going to be gone depending on how this election goes? What is going on? That has been my thought for the last 4 years. We're having things forced upon us that science proves. Yeah, science proved was bad for us, and it was forced on us anyway. Like, what has been going on? So a lot of you are with me, while a lot of others are still blindsided by this mass media situation of all these people preaching one story, the same story that is leaving out a whole lot of truth and preaching a whole lot of untruth, let's say. You know, when like all the major news networks and all the social media and all of our major search engines and the places where we watch videos, when they are all sharing the same information, a lot of which is untrue, and leaving out a massive amount of truth, like, what is going on? What is going on? I heard an interview with, I guess it's pronounced Lara Trump, Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, who took over the Republican National Committee, I believe. I heard an interview of her on the Real Talk with Marissa Street podcast. Really good podcast with lots of interesting people on there. And what she said what I felt very much when I started making videos at the end of September, when I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I cannot just watch along with what is going on anymore and pretend like it's not happening. I have to try and do something. This is what she said when Donald Trump asked her if she would take over the RNC. She didn't really want to do it. And as she was putting her children to bed that night, she said, I just couldn't help but think, what if I could have done something and I didn't? If this country took a dark turn for the worse and we lose our freedom, you know? And that is exactly where I was at. I'm watching this and I'm like, I can't. That is why I was emotional when I was watching today. Yep, we are hearing threats of the oligarchy. Okay, we got to make up some new words to scare people who don't know what's really going on. One of the things I heard after the election was we're not going to be able to buy books anymore. I'm sorry. We lived through a presidency with this man before, so if you can be fooled into thinking that our world is coming to an end because it's happening again, what can you not be fooled of? We survived the first time. How bad did it go? We must be so very careful about the things we look at and the things we listen to, the things we allow into our minds. Is so important. It's so important. That's why a few years ago, after I went on my huge search for information in 2020 and I like figured out what was going on and I was really creeped out, I turned everything off for a while. I started to have a little bit of anxiety, let's call it a medium amount of anxiety. It was probably nothing compared to what a lot of other people are experiencing, but like I had to turn it all off. And I had to get my headspace back to a good place. How did I do that? I went to God and we did some work because I realized I had put my trust in things like our government, schools, education, information, the things I know, my bank account, our healthcare system. I had put my trust in those places. And all at once, I realized I can't trust those things. I put my trust in the wrong places. So for me personally, I'm really glad all of that happened because I had to do some work. I had to turn to my God. I had to start reading the word and learning. I had to do a lot of work with myself personally. But for me, I'm in such a better place now as a result of all of that. Where is your trust? If it's still in those things, friend, I hope you can get to a place where you can put your hope and your trust in something that is unchanging. So the inauguration is happening. So you may be really happy about this. You made me really unhappy about this. Regardless, how do we proceed? No matter which side you're on, how do we need to proceed? Well, we need to proceed in the way that we should have been doing life all along, that in this type of a governmental system, we should all be doing. So what should we be doing? We should be paying attention. We should be paying attention to sources that we trust. Where do you get your information from? Who owns those companies? Are they owned by billionaires who own 3/4 of our media companies? Or are they people kind of like you and me? Are they people that have the same interests as you? Are they people that have the same values as you? Are they people you can relate to? There are so many good news sources out there, and this is one of the things I love about how bad it got. People got fired up and people did something about it. And a lot of people started their own places to talk. Okay. There are podcasts out the wazoo that you can go and find now of people who are reporting truth because they got tired of, you can't speak on social media. They're not going to let you see it. They're going to delete it. We'll just delete you entirely. You never even existed. So there are so many places to go and get news from of people who you can relate to. We need to pay attention. We need to help our kids and our grandkids and those around us pay attention. So if we hear people speaking mistruths, if we hear people saying things that are anti-American or things that are in the popular news, but not necessarily true, we need to find a way to approach those topics. Now, do we need to get confrontational? Do we need to shove our facts or our opinions or whatever down people's throats? No. But we can try to start talking and communicating. I heard from a lot of people when I started doing this that people who just don't pay attention and don't know and don't want to deal with it. We hate politics and all that. So do I. But this is important. So we need to pay attention. We need to start talking to people. We need to... the judgment in our world is just out of control. We need to stop judging people. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they do in their free time. I don't care if they yelled at me earlier or cut me off in traffic or whatever. We have to start trying to understand each other and stop with the judgment. So we can have differing opinions, but we need to be able to talk to each other about it. I just heard a quote yesterday that I guess used to be a lot more well known. It was something like, I may disagree with you, whatever. I may disagree 100% with what you were saying, but I will fight to the death for your right to keep saying it. I love that. And I agree with that. There's a lot of bad things going on in the US. We've got a lot of work to do to undo the things that have happened over the last several decades. A lot of work to do. I'm going to be honest, I think the worst one that we are just like totally okay with now is the killing of babies. But the one that had me most concerned at this moment was it seemed that we had lost our freedom of speech. When we lose our freedom to speak out against what is going on, we've lost everything, friends. So we need to pay attention. We need to talk to each other. We need to decide what each of us decide what our individual role is in this. Is it talking to my pastor about how to participate in this world around us? Our churches have been, I don't know, I want to say horrifically, is that the right word? Like horrifically silent? If you're a believer, we are supposed to be influencing the culture around us. And it comes across that we decided we need to be quiet and polite and just let it happen. As long as it's not in my house. Just pretend like it's not going on. So, do we talk to our pastors about showing up and talking about what's going on and how do we respond? Do we start? I am involved right now in getting a LifeWise Academy program started at our school. Like, how do we be involved in our schools? Charlie Kirk and whatever his organization is called, Turning Point USA. You can start these at colleges and high schools. That's amazing. Let's get some Turning Point USA groups start in our schools so kids know how to be involved and they know how to pay attention and preserve this nation after me and you are long gone. What can we do? Are we going to show up and listen at our school board meetings and our city councils and our county commissioners meetings? Are we going to run for office? What are we going to do? Are we going to pay attention to what's going on in our state legislature? And when important bills are being discussed, we let everybody we know. Like, we need to contact our Congress people. Like there are so many ways to get involved. What is going to be the way that you get involved? What are you going to do? Last but not least, most importantly, what I was urging you all to do leading up to the election, and I hope you have not stopped, is pray for our nation. Pray for our nation, whether you like Donald Trump or not, whether you think this is good or bad. Pray for our nation. We all saw back in July, it sure looked like divine intervention, that bullet did not hit that man in the head. Seems like it's changed him. I think it's changed a lot of us and our hearts. We must not forget who we are as a country, and whether you like it or not, this nation was founded on a very strong belief in God, the God of the Bible, the one God of the Bible who sent his son Jesus to die on the cross for us. It was written into the original colony and state, probably not the colonies, the original state constitutions. We believe in Jesus Christ. I don't know how it was worded. Like, it was in all of them. They all had their own, like, one of the colonies or states was Catholic. The rest of them were Protestant. Like, this is who we are as a nation. And I think a lot of people wanted us to forget it. Nobody ever taught me. My public school education definitely did not teach me these things. But we need to remember who we are. We need to help others around us remember. We need to turn back to our God, and we need to pray. Part of Trump's speech today National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, which so many people, and I think our past leaders, have very much forgotten our country. We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution. And we will not forget our God. It has been too long. If you go back into presidential speeches of the past, they referred to God all the time. In my lifetime, in the last few decades, it's been much, much less. Maybe we need to bring it back to save ourselves. Keep praying for our country.